Hey guys, Youngblood with you, and what I wanted to do today was actually run through the two Q&As that we got regarding the Teverin or the Esperia Prowler. And first off, I want to let you know, sorry I didn't get this up earlier. I'm sure it would have been helpful during the sale, but, with the holidays being around, it was actually just a little bit tough to get through some of that. So, with that in mind, let's go ahead and start off, and we're just going to run through this as quick as possible. First question was, will the Gravlevs allow it to act like a dragonfly as a ground vehicle? And the answer was technically yes, but there's also other thrusters that are going to help. So while a dragonfly on the ground is really reliant just on its Gravlevs, the Prowler is actually capable of using its maneuvering thrusters to kind of help you, but you do gain better control when you pair the Gravlevs with other maneuvering thrusters. It almost gives you better traction for better agility, whether you're in space or on planet. When asked if the Esperia versions of stealth is going to be as good as the legendary Teverin version, the answer was yes, though modern technology may make it a little bit different. It may be better in some areas and worse than others, but it should net a similar result. So for example, modern technology may say, okay, we can run with lower, infrared signature, but we may have a higher electromagnetic, depending on the type of equipment that you have on there, but you should end up coming out to being a very stealthy vehicle. Question was, why buy a Prowler instead of a Redeemer or a Hoplite? And the answer really comes down to it's a dedicated dropship, where the others have other purposes. The Vanguard's really more of a fighter. The Redeemer's more of a gunboat. It also carries more troops than either of those options. It carries 14 troops as compared to 6. And then finally, it also handles better thanks to the grav legs, allowing you to kind of, hug the terrain, or maybe a ship hole, which means that you can kind of zoom in, use the terrain to kind of hide your signature, or you can kind of use it as you're flying up on a capital ship to avoid some of the turrets to drop your people more effectively. The sales page called the ship fast, but how fast is it compared to a Redeemer or a Vanguard? It uses kind of an interesting flight model. It has a low acceleration with a very high max SCM, basically allowing you to stay stealthy. You're not burning to get up to that top SCM. It takes you longer to get there, but that also keeps your signature lower. Now, you can use boost to get up to speed incredibly fast. It's got a very, very powerful boost, but that does burn through fuel very fast, and it also makes you run hot, so you lose out on some of your stealthiness. As far as the modularity on the Prowler goes, they say that you can mix up the hard points in different components, so you could switch out the weapons to what you want them to be. You can also upgrade your thrusters or your avionics, but at the end of the day, it is a dedicated dropship, so the short version is that it's going to be very limited in its modularity. The range on the Prowler is meant to be low. It's really more of a landing craft than a long-range transport. It can equip a jump drive, but it's really more of a fleet operation ship, so something to be deployed by something else, or maybe even just supported by something like a Starfarer to help increase the range. But you're not necessarily going to be jumping 3 or 4 systems away to conduct an operation. You need support to do that. As far as the racks to store munitions or weapons or explosives, there is going to be space inside the ship where you can actually store gear for your Marines. And the idea there of explosives is interesting when you start talking about this ship deploying its troops EVA. Potentially you're grabbing a satchel, putting it on a docking collar, you're blowing that open, you get some decompression inside, then you run in. That sounds like pretty exciting emergent gameplay that I think is going to make a lot of people pretty happy. When asked about the scanners, they said, can you swap out the turret up top for an upgraded scanner, almost like a Hornet tracker? The turret is really just piped for weapons, so you can't really add a scanner array up there. And as far as the lore is concerned, Esperia is really dedicated to following what the, legacy of a ship is. And the Teverin really kind of lagged behind humanity, so the scanners aren't super advanced. You'd really be best suited to running ops with something that's able to help you pick up targets at a longer range, something like a Terrapin or a tracker or something like that. When asked if you can shoot out the outside of the doors while you're in flight, basically taking, like a railgun and shooting through the air shield, the answer was yes, so that's kind of exciting. Though I think there's probably some limited options there, but I guess if you're talking about ground assault, you could technically have some people laying down fire on ground targets. But I think that's probably going to have, limited value, but I think it's still kind of a cool option to have. Asking about if you can fit a dragonfly in the back and use the ramp to deploy it, the answer was they're not sure yet, but they are sure that it would take away from the purpose because you're not going to be able to fit as many people inside the ship if you decide to do that. So the answer there is probably you don't want to do it, even if it's a possibility, but it's still yet to be determined. The Hoplite, the Vanguard Hoplite, is going to be the loaner ship for the Prowler, which is going to give you some practice at the gameplay of, dropping mechanics. They go on to talk about, what does the line about the wide variety of defensive countermeasures really mean? Well, the Prowler can actually carry chaff, flares, and decoys. Many of the other ships today, actually pretty much all of them at this point, only carry 1 or 2 of these at a time, and almost all the ships have, some chaff and some flares. I don't think anybody's carrying decoys yet today, and some of them are going to be actually limited to just carrying 1. So having the ability to counter whatever situation you're in by carrying all 3 is a nice benefit for a ship that's trying to drop troops and may need to deal with things like incoming missiles. So what's going to happen in this ship if you lose your power or your shields fail? Is the ship going to end up kind of going through a decompression event? And the answer was yes. If the air shield generators lose power, it would be a whole decompression. Now there's two different factors there that kind of help out in this regard. One is that the air shield actually had their own power generator. So, if your main ship loses power, your air shield is probably going to still remain operational. But if that air shield does go down, the cockpit is sealed, so you could continue to operate from the front and, fly away. So the people inside would obviously survive if they had EVA gear on and if they stayed inside the ship. Is there a living quarters with a bed and a toilet? No, it's a short-range operation ship. It's not a long-range ship. Now, there is a ready room that could potentially see this as an option right behind the cockpit, but really for this ship, it would be much better suited to using it to store weapons or armor or explosives, those types of things. Can the gravlevs act as a magnet to hold on to the hull of a ship? That's still in the works, but it's likely, they say. They're not sure how they're going to implement it or how it's actually going to work in engine. My guess is that it's probably going to be more avionics related. They would probably say you can match the speed of the ship that you're trying to dock, so your ship's avionics are actually going to help to control the ship to keep it in place as opposed to the gravlevs actually acting like a magnet. But that's just kind of my take on it. When asked about if other ships are going to get the one-way glass that the Prowler has, right now it is planned to be an exclusive to Teveran ships for now. But they do love the idea of it and plan to kind of develop it further and see if there's other cool things that they can do for other ships, because it is something that's kind of neat that other ships don't have as an option. Will the Prowler be able to dock with other ships? Not in a conventional way. There's no ship-to-ship docking collar, so you're not necessarily going to pull up to another ship and just kind of walk between them. You need to really utilize the air shield doors to end up deploying through EVA, or just landing on a bigger target and letting your people just jump out on the ground. And what's the deal with the phalanx shield? Well, basically, what it's doing is it's taking the current shield technology and gameplay to the next level. It's a very strong shield with lots of flexibility in how you direct its power. Now, it's not great if you're not managing it, so your co-pilot really needs to help you out as far as how that works. It's highly effective, but it's more skill-based. So what I take from that is it's got more flexibility. So instead of forward, backward, left, right, up, or down, it's probably more of a dial. So if you're getting shot from, your 5 o'clock, you're able to really pinpoint that location to help really target where you're taking your shield from. I think it's strong. It's probably also going to be highly configurable, and that's what's going to make it more effective, but it's only more effective if you've got somebody that's actually managing it during the process. And finally, will you be able to deploy troops and have them retain their inherited momentum? The EVA friction that we have today, where you just jump out of a ship and all of a sudden you just stop dead, you're not moving, that was confirmed to be a bug. So maintaining momentum doesn't necessarily make it easy, though. So you could technically jump out of a ship that's going 200 SCM, and you may end up maintaining that 200 speed. So that may be really hard for you to actually hit your spot. So that's really convenient if you want to kind of drop going kind of slow, like precision speeds. But if you're going really fast and you jump out, you're going to have a hard time hitting your spot. You really need to kind of coordinate with your pilot and your co-pilot to make sure that you're jumping out at the right time, especially knowing that what we have in game today is currently a bug. So there's your Q&As for the Prowler. Hopefully that helps you guys get a little more clarity on the ship. If you have questions, please let me know. Otherwise, stay tuned for a whole lot more content coming soon, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.